All right, it's a two for today. 2 videos for the price of 1, the very low price of this shit's free, but you should subscribe. Yeah, all right. So today I wanted to talk about, again, Hogwarts Legacy. Earlier today, I posted a video about the idea that if you play Hogwarts Legacy, you can't be an ally to LGBTQ people. And I said, well, what about LGBTQ people who play Hogwarts Legacy? Are they like gender traders or like queer traders? What do you call them? Because they're not allies. They're actually LGBTQ. Can a trans person play Hogwarts Legacy without being like banished from the halls of trans acceptance? I mean, and I went into censorship and stuff. But this video, I want to talk about the other thing that people are always accusing J.K. Rowling and the Harry Potter universe of being, which is anti-Semitic, hating Jewish people. It's so curious to me, first of all, that Rowling is ever accused of this, because this began when the movies came out, and the goblins, who are the bankers of Gringotts, were people were like, these are just stand-ins for Jewish people. This is all very anti-Semitic, the Jewish bankers who control the world, and look at them with their hooked noses and all these fitting all these Jewish stereotypes, which I always thought was sort of anti-Semitic, right? Like, oh, you see these goblins and immediately you think they're Jewish people? Like, that's so anti-Semitic, right? Like, the people making the accusations always struck me as the most anti-Semitic people out there, because they're the ones seeing this stuff. Like, I never once thought of the goblins as Jewish until this was all became a thing. And so I found this article in Forward, a magazine, Jewish independent nonprofit magazine, Forward, by Elia Smith. And she writes some good stuff that really, I think, crystallizes what I've already been thinking about this issue. And since she's Jewish, obviously, this carries more weight than me. I'm not Jewish. I studied Judaism. I think Judaism is a really cool. It's more than just a religion, right? It's also like a people. But I think it's a really interesting religion. And I took some private classes from a woman here who is Jewish. And anyways, that's neither here nor there. I am not Jewish. I am not anything. But this article, she says, it's funny. Please, everyone, for the love of God, shut up about the Jew-Goblins. I love Jew-Goblins. If I see one more person on the internet arguing the Jew-Goblins arguing the goblins are Jewish caricatures, I will personally combust. And as I do so, I will dramatically announce to anyone bearing witness that I have specifically elected to combust because of the Jew-Goblin discourse, making clear that said discourse has actually enacted real anti-Semitism by causing me, a Jewish woman, to combust, which is way more anti-Semitic than the goblins, and also rude to me, someone who does not wish to combust, and would be especially embarrassed to have my combustion result from Harry Potter discourse. That is a lovely paragraph, I have to say. I wish I'd written that. The Jew-Goblin argument, which has been made ad nauseum on social media and in various think pieces, and has been highlighted in the news cycle recently following a viral Jon Stewart soundbite, is effectively this. The goblin characters in the Harry Potter series, known mostly for their role in running the Wizarding Bank Gringotts, are anti-Semitic because they look like Jewish caricatures and perpetuate anti-Semitic stereotypes. I disagree. The Potter goblins are diminutive, hook-nosed saurian creatures with creepy long fingers and crafty natures. They have exceptional financial skills and stop at nothing to acquire or protect money and precious objects. It is anti-Semitic that anyone would encounter such a character and think, aha, a Jew. See? That's what I've been saying. It's anti-Semitic to see this and think, oh, it's a Jew. To illustrate my point, I have constructed the following analogy. You and I are walking down the street. The setting is not strictly necessary to the pedagogy of this scenario, but I thought it would be nice to dress up the visuals. You and I are walking down the street, and we see, crumpled on the ground, a shaky child's drawing of a disgusting evil rat. I say, oh, look, it's a picture of you. I am offended on your behalf by the choice of this artist to depict you as disgusting and evil. In fact, the genuine offense here is not the picture, which was in fact simply a drawing of a rat, but in my looking at a drawing of a rat and thinking it reminded me of you. The analogy is obviously not perfect because it doesn't account for the dangerous legacy of caricature depictions of Jews that some have argued the goblins fall into. Cartoons of Jews in Western media have historically connected stereotypical physical and cultural traits to genetic degeneracy. I do not mean to make light of the potential for these depictions to do real insidious damage, or to argue that the contemporary nature of the series exempts it from perpetuating harm. Offensive Jewish characters persist today, cropping up in far-right corners of the internet and less fringe news cycles, actively goading hatred toward Jewish people. But these are deliberate caricatures of Jews. Sometimes a sinister money-grubbing goblin is simply a sinister money-grubbing goblin. Jews do not run the economy, do not have a cultural disposition toward prioritizing monetary gain over human emotion, and also, and I would really like to emphasize this point, do not look like goblins. This depiction of goblins is offensive to bankers, not to Jews. The reason it is offensive to bankers is because the goblins in the Potter world are synonymous with bankers, and Jews in the actual real world are not. Are all fictionalized bankers supposed to be cheerful, generous, and definitively Anglo-Saxon in order to avoid potentially dipping into anti-Semitic caricature? I defend the right of the minor set-dressing fairy tale characters in this invented world to be gross and good at money. I defend mostly my right to peruse the internet without encountering more people complaining that the goblins in a children's series I cared about a decade ago are anti-Semitic. Please complain about something else. And frankly, if the goblins do represent Jews, the resemblance is a humbling one. They seem to be doing a much better job of controlling their media than Jews do in our non-magical world, given there is no trace of organized anti-goblin efforts in any Harry Potter novel or movie. So, I mean, Hogwarts Legacy does have, like, conflict with the goblins, but it's not like an organized oppression of the goblins. There's, like, a bad goblin and whatever. I won't get into that. I just liked this article. I thought it was really good. And I wanted to bring up this point because it just seems like there's just a never-ending attempt to take down everything Harry Potter these days, whether it's this Jew-Goblin argument, or whether it's the trans argument or whatever it is. To the point, people have said that they put Star of David on the floor of Gringotts in the movies. And there is a star on the floor of Gringotts, but that's because that's where they shot the bank, the set, the real building that it was shot in. That's just what the floors looked like there. It's an unfortunate coincidence, but I sincerely doubt that This requires not so much a critique of Rowling, but of the filmmakers, the people who decided on the set locations, the cinematographers, the costume designers, that the whole production of Harry Potter, the films, mind you, was an attempt to make the goblins appear to be money-grubbing caricatures of Jewish people. That's like a pretty wild conspiracy theory, especially when it's designed to take down Rowling, who didn't make the fucking movies in the first place. She wrote the books, and in the books, there's none of that stuff, right? They're just the goblins. You picture them in your head however you want to picture a goblin. I remember when I was reading the books, I pictured them more like goblins out of like The Hobbit or something, you know, like goblins out of D&D. Like the Pathfinder goblins with the big ears and shit, right? Not, you know, and sure, I mean, I can see why people made this link, but it requires such a stretch to suggest that it was an intentional attempt to make the goblins appear to be Jewish and to have this anti-Semitic thread. To me, that seems pretty preposterous. For something to come out of Hollywood to be a takedown of Jewish people, like that's not really in the trend of Western cinema, of American cinema specifically. There's not a lot of like blatant anti-Semitism going on. So yes, that's crazy. And I will link to this article. I think it's quite well written. I'm going to go see what else this author has written because anyone who so eloquently expresses their malcontent with the complaining online is somebody that I should be following. So kudos to Elia Smith. I hope you don't spontaneously combust because of all this Jew-Goblin complaining. And I will also try not to... We should all try not to spontaneously combust if possible for any reason, okay, I'm going to go finish editing this video, and then I'm going to play some Hogwarts Legacy. And damn it, I'm going to have fun. You have fun too. Peace.